Expressions. You are tuned in with Omihlali. I'll be a street journalist for today. And we'll be talking about the matter of childhood-headed families.
I think it's one of the bravest things anybody can do, especially as a child, for you to step up and actually want to raise another human being when you're still trying to learn and becoming who you are.
I feel like it's unfair for the kids who are going through this current situation of having to take care of their younger siblings, because, you know, in most cases they drop out of school or they don't really focus.
Parenting on its own, I feel like it's a lot of work. I see it with my mom, and the challenges are different. So I can imagine myself having school challenges and also like home challenges, thinking what are we going to eat, what are we going to wear.
For them to lose confidence, it will be because of what people say about them. So never mind what people say about you. What you're doing is a great job. Look after your siblings. Try to find a better way that you can make a better future for everyone.
As the community, we should help such child-headed families, because children don't deserve to be put under so much pressure and yet still have to deal with their own schoolwork and so forth.
And on that note, we want to say hello, Dumelang Sanbonani, South Africa. Welcome to Expressions. This is definitely the place for you to air your views. I'm your host, Jacqueline Mapala.
I'm your host, Umqolisi Masango. Sizagene Bkhoma from our headquarters in Auckland Park, Johannesburg. Now, we're still celebrating phenomenal women during this Women's Month. We spotlight young women who have taken motherly roles of raising their siblings. Our poll question, is there enough support to assist young people in child-headed households, Jackie?
Well, that's a very important question, because in 2015, Stats SA's General Household Survey showed that there are about 90,000 children in 50,000 child-headed households. Now, child-headed households are at risk of having to cope without parental support or care and regular income. And these child-headed households are basically located in areas where services are poor. In addition, this vulnerable group has to deal with emotional strain, and they're more likely to be abused and exploited.
Jackie, as Expressions now, we visited Siphokazi Tami Ohlalai Alexandra in Johannesburg. Now, this is after her mother died. Now, she was left to raise her siblings. Please take a look at this. Child-headed households do exist and have become a common and integral part of South African society. Now, over the past decade, researchers have reached a general consensus that child-headed households do indeed exist, although there has been some contestation around statistics. Today, our stop is in Alex, where we meet a 24-year-old by the name of Siphokazi, filled of hopes, dreams, and aspirations, but still has to take care of a family. Let's have a chat with her. Swami, can you just biggest tombeni as to why ukhulisa ingane lezi wedwa?
Umama washona sebancane 2008, then washiya C3, then yena mega shona yena nobaba already bese ba separated. So kuze kanjalo ukuthi sisale sikhulisa abantwana bona.
So ubaba yena ukuphi?
Ubaba ukhona around, ushadile unabanye abantwana futhi. But usesekhona elifini yethu.
Swami, mhlambe manga just take me through on a normal day, some of the challenges that you go through.
Yeah, I could say it's very challenging because I still want to go out nabangani bami. I still want to go cinema, but bunzima for me now, because each and every time make sure ukuthi abantwana badlile, ngipheke, mengihamba nginamuntu ozoba babysitter. So for me ngibe umama at an early age, because I had to make sure ukuthi abantwana ba right, they well taken care of.
Have you received any support? Is there somewhere or someone that makes this challenge to be easier on a day-to-day?
Ngithola support from areas of hope and from the neighbors. Ngithola a lot of support from them and from the other relatives.
What are some of the things that you have to do? Because I'm sure
yes. Mele ngivuke ekuseni ngo-5 o'clock, ngigeza abantwana, ngibapreparela ama-lunch box, balinde i-transport. I-role le emele idlale umama, that's a role that I play. And then make sure ukuthi i-transport ifikile yabalanda, and then bahambile baye esikoleni.
As a young person, do you feel enough is being done by imiphakathi yethu, by our government, to ensure ukuthi abantu abasha abafana nawe bayalithola usizo abalidingayo?
I could say, from umphakathi, yeah, bayadlala i-role. Even if they won't play a role, bekumele idlale umama wakho. But yeah, nama-organization, because maningi ama-organization asiza abantu abasha, asiza ama-young household, asiza ama-orphans. Yeah, so even the government, they play the role because of baba provider imali le bayibiza foster care. So I feel like the government is doing enough.
Okay. We definitely applaud Siphokazi for the stellar job that she has taken on to raise her siblings. But to help me unpack this issue that we're going to be discussing in studio, I'm joined by Ms. Lunka Oliphant, who is from the National Social Development Department, and she is the head of communications there. And I'm joined by Mr. Anele Siswana, who is a UJ psychologist and lecturer. Gentlemen and lady, welcome to Expressions.
Thank you for having us.
It's good to have you, and of course I never do this by myself. Makos Mkolis is going to be manning our social media corner and of course bringing some of your insights on this topic that we are unpacking in studio tonight. I think maybe let me start with you, Lumka, as a representative of the department. We know that in 2014 you attempted to compile a child and youth-headed household registry to formalize the assistance of child-headed households. We just want to find out as Expressions, what's the progress that you've made and how many child-headed households have you managed to assist?
We have first of all, child-headed households are provided for in the white paper on families, that by constitution they are recognized because of the AIDS epidemic that we had. Because children had told government that they do not want to be separated. If you remember in the past, they used to go to institutions. A girl will go to a girl-only institution, a boy will go to a boys-only institution. So children themselves have told government that they don't want to be separated. So what then happened was that what would then be the right thing for government to do to help children in their homes, in their spaces, to remain children and also to lead normal lives. I'm happy that the lady from Alexandra recognizes the work that government is doing, including the work that is done by organizations that are supported by government. To come to your question, right now we are busy with Stats SA to make sure that we have the numbers correctly of how many children who are heading homes. But we can tell you that through our program called, we've now taken it over from the organization, our program called Isibindi. We've reached over 2.3 million vulnerable children, including the children in child-headed households. Therefore, we can safely say that government is trying. No support can ever be enough, but the investment in making sure that children remain children and the support that they get from government. And we see the results through the way they stay in school. We see the results of matric, because our children in childhood households are producing very good matric results.
Yeah, what does that support look like? So give us a tangible indication of, if you're saying you're supporting them within their households and you're ensuring that children remain children while taking on the responsibility of parenting their siblings, what does that look like?
You see, government has what is called a comprehensive social security that would give them a house, that would give them water and electricity. So when the parent dies, you find that this structure is already there. Then social development has what we called a child and youth care workers who go into the households to make sure that every day that these children are taken care of. In the morning they come in and they make sure.
So there's a holistic approach to it in terms of how you want to assist some of the child-headed households that we have in South Africa. I want to bring Anele into the conversation. I mean, it's one thing to applaud, children who are taking on this mammoth responsibility of parenting their siblings, but we want to understand what is the emotional and psychological impact of taking this kind of responsibility.
I like what Lumka said, highlighted that children have to be children or given the space to be children. However, the context of what happens in the context of child-headed households is that children become over-parentified, and the over-parentification is what limits them from being children. And so the psychological impact, you see it not only at home, but you see it at school, where they're experiencing academic problems. At the same time, they're experiencing developmental problems. You realize that for a child who is 10 years old, who has to take care of other children, that's impossible. They do not have the emotional capacity and the strain. They cannot be able to manage that. So later in life, you would have a child who has skipped developmental stages that are very necessary for what a child should have. And so that over-parentification is what causes the problem, and that also inhibits the child from being a child, at the same time not being able to continue living their lives according to that developmental stage.
And maybe let's touch a little bit on that just before we go to break. I mean, what kind of an adult do you become when you do not go through the normal developmental stage of being a child? But I think most importantly, when you're the child that has been parented by another child, what kind of an adult do you become?
It's kind of problematic because you would have someone who has no ability to take care of themselves because they are so used to take care of others. And developmentally, for every stage, there should be a resolution. And when there's no resolution, you get stuck at that phase. And so you would not know what to do later in life and managing other demands that are related to that specific age or that developmental phase of one's life.
I mean, I guess it does. It's a problem that does not have a simplified solution. And of course, we want to applaud young girls out there who are raising your siblings. We know that you do it at a great sacrifice and a great cost to you. So we applaud you as Expressions. Umxolisi is on the flip side of this. You are watching Expressions. We'll be back right after this.
They should open more organizations, you know, the same way they help people who are going through abuse.
So if the community can at least, always help out, maybe bring them food or help them whenever they can, that would really be like supportive towards such child-headed families.
I feel like society should kind of form some kind of support to those children so that they don't miss out to school if ever they're still going to school.
Interesting views from young people there. Now, welcome back. You're still with Expressions. This is your #1 Youth Current Affairs show. Our poll question, is there enough support to assist young people in child-headed households? Now, I'm now joined by Usisus Piwaga Halare from Alexandra. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Yeah, well, thank you.
And happy Women's Month.
Thank you very much.
So, Sisiphiwe nawe une story, and what's very interesting is ukuthi wonke umuntu can somehow relate to it, and someone at least knows someone who's heading a household and is still young. So makungitshela ukuthi mhlambe what led to you ukuthi ube yabona head a household.
Okay. My mama was on 2011. So growing up like besingana baba, umuntu wesilisa esihlala naye ekhaya. So mama mthi makashona, so while yeka yonke irresponsibility yimi, so I had to raise 4 siblings of mine. And by the time mama makashona, I was pregnant with my firstborn. So after that, washona on March, and then I got my firstborn on June. Then ngabakhulisa bonke alone.
So ukhulisa ingane ezi4 zakini nezi2 ezakho manje, right?
Yebo.
Awungitshele kunzima kangakanani?
You know, at first it was very hard, but because ngazitshela ukuthi yazini akekho umunye umuntu engamyekelela zona, so I have to face them, because mama mshona I was after a matric, so I was willing like ukuthi ngaye esikolweni ngifunde further, but because fortunately wahamba, so I had to take care of my siblings. It was very hard. Yeah, but as time goes by, and then I became stronger, and I told myself, no, I have to be a mother to this kid, kulabantwana bonke bakhulise, so that they can have a better future.
Yazi ngiyazi ukuthi there's definitely abantu abasha abafana nawe somewhere, whether a girl or a boy, rural somewhere, rural Eastern Cape, rural KZN, ababhekane nalesimo lesifana nesakho njengamanje. Mhlambe mangahle bakhuthaze siswami, just to make them relate and say it's okay, we're all going through the same struggle. Ungathini bona?
ngathi yazi mababekezele. They shouldn't give up on their siblings. They must be like babe baqine inhliziyo zabo bazibekezele, because you know ukhulisa abantwana you face so many challenges. Abantwana bakithi now they're at the teenage stage. To abanye like the sabakhulile, because long lama now is 26 years. It's very hard. Because now uyabona masakakhulu uyabona ukuthi you know what awukusumzali, but you don't have to give up on them. Understand?
So uyahlangabezana nazo izimo la umntwana ngene azotshela ukuthi hey wena usuma wa.
Yeah, understand. So mele uma umuntu uzitshela ukuthi yazini whatever they do awumelanga give up kubo. You must stay strong ubakhulise kuzokufikelele lapho sebathola imizi yabo baziphumele.
So Swami, are you getting any help foster grant in Etola Hlap?
No. I can't lie, no.
Why?
Because I first applied for foster on 2012. Then, I don't know what happened. They told me go to the social worker was going to come back to me. I stayed. In 2016, I replied again. And then, Nabuyela on 2017, they told me to reapply again. I did so.
So you've been sent from pillar to post.
Yeah,
Yazi ngisoyenzani so cela uSislumka, perhaps I hope you're taking notes Sislumka, so you can take that, because I saw that also coming on our social media pages kwenzakalani ngama grants to make them accessible kuthi bathole usizo masinyane. But first, I just need to quickly check in with our WhatsApp video note for this week. Please roll the expression for this week.
Hi Expressions, my name is Maozi Matebula, and yes, I do believe there is a supportive structure towards the child-headed household. Although I believe it's not enough, yes, the government is doing something, and I believe that the community and the extended family as well should involve themselves in supporting these kids.
Back to back on some of your opinions, Mbugeli Lapekaya, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter's corner. Let's look at your Facebook. Champ Zwane says, I don't think so, especially in some of the township communities. Precious Mokwa says, not at all. Morape says, no, they struggle a lot. Poor Precious Maleti says, there is no support at all. And then Spinangia Kola, who says, no, instead, most of them end up being sex victims to their neighbors in exchange for food. That's sweet, short, and sharp. Keep those comments coming, Muntomosha Lapekaya. We continue to have this very important discussion on Masbuya. This is Expressions.
Welcome back. You're still watching Expressions here on SABC 1, and tonight we are speaking about child-headed households, and the poll question that we're asking you, Kochaye, is simply this: is there enough support to assist young people in child-headed households? So make sure you keep some of those comments coming in, and of course we're going to be giving you some of those poll results at the end of the show. But we have to wrap up the conversation. But I mean, we had to flag the issue that Simpiwe sort of highlighted around access to services. So maybe clarify that for us. I mean, how do you ensure that young girls like her are able to access the services that you have as a department?
Firstly, when a parent dies, somebody must notify the nearest social development department so that we know that there is a death and there is a vulnerable home. But because also we've also tried to have these child and youth care workers in homes who go to these homes, they try to identify them. But I have to say to Spiwe that firstly, notification of the department, then there must be an investigation, because the foster care, the money comes after. What is important is that the children are in a safe environment. They want also to stay in that home. You know, it is conducive for children. Then after that investigation is done, that process goes to court, because we can't just give children to anyone. The court must give you as the legal guardian and the primary caregiver of the child. So the process it is quite long, and but there are things that in the meantime, when people are still waiting for the court process, the children are able to get the child support grant, for instance. It's easier to get the children who are already in the system, who lose their parents, because we are able to get the information from the Department of Home Affairs that, you know, we get maternal deaths every other time. So those who are not in the system, it is very advisable that people must come forward, then that investigation, then the support can then come.
Yeah. And you know, I'm also glad as well that you're going to be connecting with Uspiwe afterwards so that you can actually assist her. And I think just as a closing from you, Anela, is this a problem that we can solve? Can we get to a point where we don't normalize this concept around child-headed households?
I believe that through integrative models of supporting these children, I believe that psychological well-being is one of the things that we look at, not only providing the social needs and the food and everything else, but also to advocate for the mental well-being and wellness of those children. So there is hope, and I believe that communities as well have a great role to play in normalizing and supporting those kind of children, at the same time making sure that they get the best care that they need.
Excellent. Thank you. Those were powerful parting words around being hopeful around the future of child-headed households in South Africa. Thank you. Thank you so much to my guests for a lot of food for thought, I think, for tonight's show. Ngo?
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, guys. And thanks to my guest as well, Uspiwe. All strength to her, indeed. This evening, the big question was, is there enough support to assist our child-headed households? And this is what you had to say. About 40% of you said yes, and just about 60% said no. So 60 is a huge number. It's a huge margin, yeah. At the back of that now, we always ask you what you'd like for us to talk about in Ngesonto Zayo. Now, this is your suggestion for next week.
Hi Expressions, I'm Bongani Mrake. Thank you for such an amazing show. As Women's Month comes to an end, I'd like you guys to speak about transgender people who are being abused by their families or the community. Thank you.
A thorny issue, and I'm so glad that we're going to be touching on it. I think it's very important to be discussing that on Women's Month, eh?
Indeed, it's going to be an interesting one. Bugeli, thank you so much for joining us. Lape Kaya, Cutting Edge is up next. We wish you a spectacular evening going forward. Nsale kahle.
Adios, muchachos.
Sibonga ma-oledi, sibonga bomakriza, basikhulisile even though it wasn't easy. Sibonga ma-oledi, sibonga bomakriza, and if you got a grandma, tell her she's a queen, yeah. Sibonga ma-oledi, sibonga bomakriza, basikhulisile even though it wasn't easy. Sibonga ma-oledi, sibonga bomakriza, and if you got a grandma, tell her she's a queen, yeah. This is dedicated to my grandma. She was Mbogodo. To me, she was a hero. Wish I could bring you back, but no, I cannot. Auseko manje goko. Your memory lives in photos. How often do you take a moment to reflect? Some time to introspect, to know who's got your back. I think that our Bokoko bear to need respect.